green mountains and misty rivers, there lived a kind girl named Suna. She was gentle and loved to help others. Every morning she would fetch water from the well, feed her grandmother's chickens, and sing while washing clothes by the stream. But behind her soft smile, Suna carried a heavy secret, one she could never tell anyone. Suna once loved a boy named Minho. He was brave and clever, and together they would dream of leaving the village to see the great city beyond the mountains. But one day, Minho left suddenly. No letter, no goodbye. The night before he disappeared, the moon had turned red. The old people said it was a sign. When the moon bleeds, the spirits walk. Suna thought it was just a story, until strange things began to happen. A week after Minho vanished, Suna found a small wooden cradle outside her hut. Inside was a baby, wrapped in a white cloth with a red thread tied around his wrist. The baby's eyes shone like silver in the moonlight. Suna froze. "Who left this child here?" she whispered. There was no one around, only the sound of the river and the whisper of the wind. She wanted to scream, but something deep inside her heart told her, "This child belongs to you." Suna raised the baby as her own. She named him Jin. He never cried, never got sick, and he always looked at the sky, as if he could see something others couldn't. The villagers began to whisper, "That girl, Suna, she had a baby without a man. It's not human, I tell you. Look at those eyes." Suna ignored them, but she knew Jin was different. One night, Suna woke up and saw Jin standing outside, staring at the moon. He was just 2 years old. "Jin," she cried, "come inside, it's cold." He turned to her slowly. His eyes glowed brighter than before. "Mother," he said softly, "he is coming." Suna's heart stopped. "Who?" she whispered. But Jin didn't answer. He pointed toward the dark forest behind the river. And then, from far away, a bell rang, slow and deep, though there was no temple nearby. The next morning, Suna went to the forest. She had to know what Jin saw. The air was cold and still. She followed the sound of the bell until she reached an old shrine covered in moss. On the stone altar was a wooden mask, half smiling, half crying. And next to it, a letter. Her hands trembled as she opened it. "Suna, forgive me. I could not fight the curse. Our child is the key to breaking it. When he turns 7, they will come for him. Minho." Suna dropped the letter. Her knees felt weak. "Our child," she whispered. That night, the baby cried for the first time. The ground shook and the river rose as if angry. The villagers screamed, "The spirits are awake!" Suna held Jin tightly and whispered, "No one will take you from me." But deep down, she knew the truth. Minho's curse had begun. Years passed. Jin grew fast, too fast. At 7, he spoke like an adult. He could call birds to perch on his arm and make the wind move with his voice. The villagers became afraid. They told Suna to leave the village. So she did. She took Jin and went deep into the forest where no one would find them. But even there, the sound of the bell sometimes echoed, reminding her that time was running out. One day, as the sun set red behind the mountains, a stranger appeared. He wore a dark robe and carried a golden staff. His voice was calm, but cold. "I have come for the child," he said. Suna stood in front of Jin. "You will not touch him." The man's eyes glowed like fire. "You don't understand. He doesn't belong to this world. He is the bridge between the living and the lost." Suna's heart broke. "He is my son." He tilted his head. Then you too are part of the curse. That night, Jin came to her quietly. "Mother," he whispered, "I saw father." Suna turned. "Minho? Where?" "In the dream. He said he's trapped under the red moon and only I can free him." Suna held his hands tightly. "No, Jin, you can't go to him. They will take you away." He smiled sadly. "Maybe they already have." The next morning, Jin was gone. Only a trail of red flower petals led toward the forest shrine. Suna ran barefoot, calling his name, but the deeper she went, the quieter the forest became, until she heard the bell again. And there, by the old shrine, the red moon rose once more. The mask on the altar was gone, and in its place was Jin's red thread. Suna fell to her knees and screamed his name into the dark sky. The wind whispered back, "He will return when the moon bleeds again." Suna did not move for a long time. The forest was silent except for the rustling of dry leaves. Her eyes were red from crying. She touched the red thread and tied it around her wrist. "I will find you, Jin," she whispered, "even if I must walk into the spirit world." As she turned to leave, the trees around her began to glow faintly. A soft voice echoed in the wind. "Follow the bell, Suna. Only it can lead you to him." She began her journey. The forest changed as she walked. The trees grew taller, their shadows darker. The moon followed her wherever she went, red and unblinking. Sometimes she heard footsteps behind her, but when she turned, no one was there. Once she saw Minho's reflection in the river, but when she reached for it, it disappeared into ripples. Her heart ached with longing. "Why did you leave, Minho?" she cried into the wind. The wind whispered back, "Because I had to." That night, Suna took shelter under an ancient tree. She dreamed of her grandmother, who had died years ago. In the dream, her grandmother spoke softly, holding a small lantern. "Suna," she said, "the red moon curse began long before you were born. The first child of every 7th generation is chosen, born between two worlds. That child can open the gate of spirits." Suna gasped. "Then Jin?" "Yes," her grandmother said, "and Minho was marked too. His soul was taken by the moon spirit the day he left. To break the curse, mother and child must face the spirit together." Suna woke up trembling. The forest was still dark, but in the distance she saw a flickering light, a lantern just like in her dream. She followed it through the trees until she reached a small cottage made of stone. Smoke rose from the chimney. An old woman stood outside, her hair silver as snow. She said, "I have been waiting for you." Suna's eyes widened. "Who are you?" She said, "I am the keeper of the red moon, and I know where your son is." Inside the cottage, the woman poured her warm tea. She said, "Your son was taken beyond the veil, a place between life and death. If you cross there, you may never return." Suna said firmly, "I don't care. He is my son." The woman nodded. "Then you must trade something precious. The gate only opens for those who offer what they love most." Suna looked at the red thread around her wrist. "Then take my soul, but give me my child." The woman smiled sadly. "Be careful what you offer, child of sorrow. Once the moon accepts your gift, there is no taking it back." When the moon rose high that night, the woman drew a circle on the ground with white chalk. She placed the red thread in the center and began to chant. The air turned cold. The ground trembled. A gate of silver light appeared before them, swirling like water. Suna took one last breath and walked through the gate. She found herself in a place unlike any other. The sky was gray, the air thick and quiet. There were no stars, only floating lights shaped like souls. "Suna!" she called. "Where are you?" A small voice answered from afar. "Mother?" She turned and saw him, standing near a stone bridge, his silver eyes glowing faintly. He looked the same, but his skin was pale, almost transparent.
Suna ran to him and hugged him tightly. "I found you!" But he whispered, "You shouldn't have come." Behind them, the bell rang again, deep and slow. The sound made the air tremble. From the shadows, a tall figure emerged, a spirit dressed in red silk with a mask that smiled and cried at once, the spirit of the red moon. "You broke the barrier, Suna," it said in a voice that was both man and woman. "Now the curse must be complete." Suna held Jin tightly. "Please, take me instead." The spirit tilted its head. "A mother's love is strong, but the curse demands balance. One must stay, one must go." Jin stepped forward. "Then take me. I was born for this." Suna shook her head. "No, you're just a child." The spirit's mask shimmered. "He is not just a child. He is the bridge. When he walks the path, your world and mine will be at peace." Jin looked at her, tears in his glowing eyes. "Mother, I can feel Father calling me. He's waiting beyond the gate." Suna fell to her knees crying, "I can't lose you both." The spirit raised its hand. "You must choose him or your world." Suna's heart broke into pieces. She looked at Jin, the child who had never cried, who had never belonged, yet had always been her light. Then she looked at the spirit and whispered, "Take my memories, every one of them. Let him live free." The spirit paused. "You would give up even the memory of your love?" "Yes," she said, "if that's what it takes." The spirit touched her forehead gently. "Then your wish shall be done." The world around her faded into white. When Suna opened her eyes, she was back in the forest. The red moon was gone. The bell was silent, and there was no sign of Jin. She touched her wrist. The red thread was gone too. She didn't remember why she was crying, only that her heart felt empty, like something precious had been taken. A soft breeze passed through the trees, carrying a whisper. "Thank you, Mother." And somewhere far beyond the mountains, a silver-eyed boy watched the sunrise for the first time, free. The days passed slowly after Suna returned. She lived quietly in a small hut near the river. The villagers said she had once gone mad, that she wandered into the forest and came back alone, speaking to the wind. But Suna didn't mind. She had no memory of what she had lost, only a strange sorrow that followed her like a shadow. Every night she dreamed of silver eyes shining under the moonlight, and every morning she woke with tears she could not explain. One afternoon, as she was washing clothes by the stream, she found something floating in the water, a small red thread. She picked it up slowly, staring at it. Her heart began to beat faster. Why "Is this feel familiar?" she whispered. Suddenly, flashes came to her mind: a baby's laughter, a boy calling her mother, a man's face under the red moon. She dropped the thread, clutching her head. "Who are they?" The wind whispered softly, "Find the bell." That night, Suna couldn't sleep. The moon was full, but no longer red. Still, she heard something faint and distant, the sound of a bell. She followed it through the dark forest, her bare feet silent on the ground. The sound led her to the old shrine, the one covered in moss. It looked the same, but something had changed. The altar was empty, yet glowing faintly with silver light. Suna knelt before it and whispered, "Tell me, who am I missing?" The wind stirred, and the silver light grew brighter. From the light, a shape began to form, small, soft, and shining. A boy with silver eyes. Suna gasped, "You!" The boy smiled gently. "Mother!" Her heart trembled. "I know you. I remember now." Tears filled her eyes as she reached out, but her hand passed through him like touching smoke. "I can't stay long," Jin said softly. "The balance must hold. You gave up your memories to free me." Suna shook her head. "No! Then take them back. I'll give anything to hold you once more." Jin smiled sadly. "You already gave everything, Mother." As she cried, Jin lifted his hand. "But I came to give you something, a promise." A tiny red light appeared between his palms and floated toward her. It turned into a single, tear-shaped gem that glowed faintly. "When you hold this, you'll never feel alone, even when you forget me again." Suna pressed the gem to her chest. "Will I ever see you again?" He looked up at the moon. "When it bleeds once more, not as a curse, but as a blessing." Then he faded into silver dust, and the forest grew quiet again. The next morning Suna woke up by the shrine, the gem still in her hand. She remembered everything now: Minho, Jin, the curse, the red moon spirit. Her heart ached, but she also felt peace. She looked at the gem and whispered, "You will always be my child." From that day she used the gem to heal the sick children of the village. The gem glowed whenever she touched someone's heart with kindness. The villagers began to call her the Mother of Light. Far away, in another village across the mountains, a young boy with silver eyes worked as a healer. He could make plants grow faster and calm storms with his voice. When people asked where he learned his gift, he only smiled and said, "From a dream I can't remember." But every full moon he would tie a small red thread around his wrist and whisper into the night, "Good night, Mother." Years later, when Suna grew old, she sat by the river once more, watching the stars. She felt tired, but her heart was warm. She looked up at the moon and smiled. "It's time, isn't it?" The moon began to turn red, but this time it was gentle, glowing like dawn. The bell rang softly, and from the light 2 figures appeared, Minho and Jin. Suna stood, tears streaming down her face. "Minho!" He reached out his hand. "You broke the curse, Suna. Now we can rest." She took his hand, and Jin hugged her tightly. "We can be together now, Mother." The 3 of them turned into light, rising toward the red moon, which slowly faded into silver. The wind whispered through the village, carrying their laughter. And that night, Every mother who had lost a child felt a strange peace, as if someone had touched their hearts gently. Years later, the villagers built a small temple near the river. Inside it, they placed a stone with words carved in simple letters. For the woman who had a baby without the world, but with all the love the world could hold. On full moons, a faint red glow surrounds the temple, and people say they can hear a soft lullaby carried by the wind, a song of a mother who never stopped loving and a child who never forgot. And so the story of "I had a baby without you" became one that parents told their children, not as a tale of sorrow, but of love that even the spirits could not destroy. Because sometimes, even when the world forgets, a mother's heart remembers forever. Please like, comment, and subscribe.